It's time for Saint Lucia Magazine, your monthly wrap-up.
Hello and welcome to Saint Lucia Magazine, your trusted source for monthly updates on the latest developments within the government across the key sectors of healthcare, education, youth development, the economy, infrastructure, and tourism. I'm your host, Nivalo Geist. Within this informative package, we are going to be taking a look back at the events of November. Our dedicated team at the GIS, in collaboration with the various communications units of the public service, have produced numerous reports detailing the many governmental initiatives and projects that are improving the St. Lucian quality of life. After compiling these stories, I bring you this month's review. This is St. Lucia Magazine, and at the top of our review segment, the big stories. A budget of $35.9 million has been allocated for the construction of the Northern Divisional Police Headquarters. This initiative aims to enhance facilities for diverse law enforcement units, underscoring a substantial commitment to improving working conditions and strengthening national security. The anticipated 18-month construction period represents a pivotal advancement in meeting the requirements of dedicated law enforcement personnel. Melissa Paul has that story.
The Northern Divisional Police Headquarters project was initiated in 2016. Regrettably, such a critical opportunity to improve citizen security and modernize and upgrade the occupational conditions of the members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force stagnated for an inordinate period of time until Prime Minister Pierre intervened in 2022.
From 2017, you speak about a situation where your men and women in the police force are working in conditions that were not fit for people to work in. I remember coming here in 2021 and visiting the Grocery police station and apologizing to the officers for the conditions under which they worked. And from 2017, a government has had that opportunity to improve the conditions of work for these men and women. They refuse to do it. But instead, what they get involved in is things that are on the periphery, things that have no relevance to crime in this country, things that have no relevance to the improvement of the working conditions for the men and women of the police force. And I want to thank the men and women of the cabinet, because we decided that come whatever happens, we are going to construct the police station for the people of Grosley and to house the men and women of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force.
The Prime Minister's decision to pursue the construction of the Northern Divisional Police Headquarters project underscores the government's commitment to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and the protective services.
And so, despite the fact that we have a Minister of Tourism who has ensured that Grosley be given the resources and, of course, the physical development to bring in the tourists and enjoy the constituency, despite the fact that we know how important these initiatives are, despite the fact that we have a Minister of Education who understands the need for Grosley to have its own library, despite the fact that we have a Minister of Health who understands the need for the Grosley Polyclinic to be up and running effectively, this project can be considered one of the most important for the constituents of Grosley.
Building the Northern Divisional Police Headquarters satisfies a critical law enforcement need and further strengthens the national security mechanisms.
To state that this will be a state-of-the-art police station, it will be a police station that will provide the police officers the facilities that they need to carry out their duties. And I need to commend the Prime Minister and Cabinet colleagues for their full support for improving the conditions for national security and safety in the country.
Upon completion of construction, the new Northern Divisional Police Headquarters situated in Masad Grosile will house several law enforcement units, namely Criminal Investigations Department, Special Services Unit, Crime Scene Investigations, and Traffic Department.
Today, as we come together for this sod-turning ceremony, we are expressing our profound gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister and the government for hearing the heartfelt plea of the men and women who serve in this community. The significance of this event cannot be overstated, as it signifies a tangible commitment to improving the working conditions of our dedicated law enforcement personnel.
The approved budget for the project is $35,925,822. The Northern Divisional Police Headquarters will occupy 30,000 square feet of floor space on 2.6 acres of land. The expected duration of the construction phase is 18 months.
This facility is expected to be a flagship for the police facilities on island. And police, you'll be very proud of this facility. It will house CID, it will house traffic, among other things. It will house there'll be an armory, and police will also, there'll be a holding area. Police will also be happy to know that there'll be a tennis court and a gymnasium included. And like I said, there should be a flagship facility for the police force.
The project will be executed under a build, own, lease, transfer or BOLT agreement between the National Insurance Property Development and Management Company Limited, NIPRO, and the Government of Saint Lucia.
In another of our big stories, the U.S. government has been detailing the specific measures being taken to support Saint Lucia's fight against the trafficking of illegal firearms. Virgil Leonti has the details.
The U.S. government's position on the trafficking of illegal firearms to Saint Lucia was outlined by the U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary for Caribbean Affairs and Haiti, Ms. Barbara Feinstein. Speaking exclusively with the national television network NTN, Ms. Feinstein acknowledged the impact that illegal firearms have on Caribbean societies. She says, as a direct response to the proliferation of guns, a database of firearms complete with serial numbers has been created. According to her, this will make it easier to trace perpetrators of gun violence. Part of the strategy of fighting the illegal guns trade in the region is the utilization of St. Lucia's forensic lab.
Earlier this summer, Vice President Harris in the Bahamas made an announcement that we would create a new position within the Department of Justice, a coordinator for firearms trafficking dedicated exclusively to the Caribbean. That individual, Michael Ben-Ari, a seasoned prosecutor, is now in place and is working with law enforcement throughout the region to build cases so that we can address some of these networks of gun traffickers. Here in St. Lucia, just last month, we worked with the government to unveil support to the forensics laboratory here in St. Lucia, which is a resource not just for this country, but for the whole region. So that when there are, for example, firearms that are seized as a result of a successful investigation, then the serial numbers from those can be tracked against a central database that the United States provides free access to all the countries in the Caribbean to be able to take advantage of.
Ms. Feinstein acknowledged the devastation to young men, families, and whole communities which gun violence has unleashed across several Caribbean countries. She says the fight is bigger than any one individual trafficker.
We also are supporting the Crime Gun Intelligence Unit in Trinidad and Tobago, which has individuals from several of the Caribbean countries, so that we can work collaboratively and get that data and share intelligence and be able to build these cases and prosecute those who are engaging in this terrible threat to youth across the region.
In her sit-down discussion, Ms. Feinstein also spoke on the climate crisis, another area of cooperation between the United States and the Caribbean. She says food security is linked to the crisis on climate change and is one area the United States is partnering with the region. For this reason, she visited women sea moss farmers in Parliamentary. The farmers have been receiving support from the U.S. government. Ms. Feinstein visited St. Lucia as part of a broader U.S. entourage attending a global media literacy training forum on combating disinformation. The forum was convened jointly with the Embassy of the Republic of China, Taiwan. From the Government Information Service, I am Virgil Leonti reporting.
You're watching St. Lucia Magazine on the National Television Network. Stay with us.
I'm innovative.
Sure! I'm competitive!
I'm productive.
I am creative.
I constantly improve what I do
and how I do it.
I am output-oriented.
I never stop learning.
I give of my best, always.
The National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, embracing excellence.
In our look back, the Financial Service Regulatory Authority plans for financial growth, and the Taiwanese Technical Mission continues to support agriculture. Welcome back to the program. St. Lucia has secured a $3.9 million grant from the Taiwan Technical Mission to support 8 cooperation projects. The funding aims to update public sector operations, promote green energy, and enhance cultural development, specifically at the National Cultural Center. Melissa Paul has the details.
The Government of Saint Lucia on November 6, 2023, received grant funding from the Republic of China, Taiwan to support 8 bilateral cooperation projects. More than $3.9 million delivered to the government from the people and government of Taiwan has been committed to enhancing public sector operations, advancing St. Lucia's transition to green energy, and elevating the standard of the island's best-known cultural stage, the National Center.
We are receiving $3.9 million from the government of Taiwan. And what's important is the range of projects that we are going to fund from that initiative, the range of products, the range of projects that we are going to be funding from that initiative. And what it does, it seeks testimony to the way the government intends to diversify the country, to diversify the economy of the country.
Republic of China Taiwan Ambassador to St. Lucia, His Excellency Peter Chen, remarked on the enduring partnership between the two island nations during the official handover ceremony on November 6.
This ceremony is another symbol of our dedication to the sustainable development and growth of St. Lucia. These 8 projects collectively address critical issues of the private and public sectors, leaving a lasting impact on the lives of the citizens. These endeavors go beyond just bricks and mortar. They serve as a testament to the strong bond and shared values between our nations. Standing shoulder to shoulder for the betterment and well-being of our people is not merely a slogan. It is our guiding principle. We are happy to join the Lucian government under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Philippe Jepier.
The funds were transmitted to the Office of the Accountant General, where it will be deposited into the Consolidated Fund before disbursement to the prescribed government agencies.
Within this month's parliamentary sitting, many items were discussed, including a $6 million U.S. loan from the African Export-Import Bank to renovate 16 storm-damaged schools in Saint Lucia. Works will involve repairs and upgrades adhering to modern building standards. Also highlighted was the support given to the Department of Education through fee payments, teacher aid, and electronic content development for enhanced learning. Virgil Leonti tells us more.
The resolution authorized the Prime Minister to secure a loan of $6 million US from the African Export-Import Bank. The money is earmarked for the refurbishment of 16 schools damaged during the passage of Tropical Storm Brett. Speaking in Parliament during his contribution on the resolution, Minister of Education, the Honourable Sean Edward, says the schools were chosen based on greatest need and will be rebuilt to modern building codes.
We will, at the Enchibo Secondary School, be knocking down an existing block which poses a threat to students as well as staff, given that the building, Mr. Speaker, has outlived its usefulness, having been constructed in 1972 and still serves a school with a population of almost 500 children. Mr. Speaker, we will construct a three-story structure housing 5 classrooms, administrative offices, cafeteria, F&N lab, electricity lab, staff room, art room, sick bays, etc.
The rehabilitation of the Enchipo School alone will cost more than $5 million EC. Other schools done for repair are Grand Riviere Secondary, Auger Combined School, Pierrot Combined, Reunion School in Choiseul, and Plainview Combined School in Vieux-Fort. Some of the works will range from electrical and plumbing upgrade and roof replacement. Edwards says if students are found vandalizing school property, they will be punished and will also be responsible for their replacement. While noting its importance to improving the quality of education in St. Lucia, Edwards says infrastructure alone is not enough. He outlined other measures which his government is undertaking to enhance learning, including the development of local electronic content.
Our students will have uploaded on their devices content developed by our own people, content that is culturally relevant, content developed by people who understand their accent and whose accents they understand, content that where examples are used, those examples are within the experiential background of the children, Mr. Speaker, so that there will be no ambiguity when it comes to the learning exercise. And that is what we meant when we said we were going to reinstate the 1 laptop per child program. And very significantly, the savings that we've been able to make by developing our own content, some of it is being channeled, Mr. Speaker, or redirected to help bolster our higher education program.
The peer administration also pays facilities fees for all primary and secondary schools and CXC fees for mathematics and English students. Teachers also receive $1,400 assistance for teaching aids. At the sitting of Parliament on December 1st, 2023, the government also approved amendments to the value-added tax on food, clothing, toys, and other household items. This year, parliamentarians will also benefit from the Christmas barrel concession to assist children and vulnerable constituents. A third motion passed in Parliament authorized the Finance Minister to borrow $1.2 million to finance the Pastures Community Water Supply Project in Miku. From the Government Information Service, I am Virgil Leonti reporting.
The Financial Services Regulatory Authority, FSRA, oversees diverse sectors like insurance, credit unions, and virtual assets. Amid a changing financial landscape, the authority has crafted a new strategic plan involving stakeholders' input. Emphasizing values like integrity and accountability, the plan aims for efficient governance while engaging stakeholders for continual adaptation and success. Glenn Simon reports.
The vision is to be a regulator of excellence, promoting the growth and development of the financial services sector of St. Lucia.
The Financial Services Regulatory Authority, FSRA, founded in 2014, is responsible for overseeing various sectors within St. Lucia's financial industry, including insurance, credit unions, money services, the international financial sector, and the virtual asset business sector. The dynamic global financial landscape has propelled the FSRA to develop a new strategic plan with an updated vision, mission, and core values. Natalie D'Souza, Executive Director at the FSRA, said the development of the strategic plan, vision, mission, and core values was a result of a collaborative effort with the Board of Directors, the management team, and staff of the FSRA.
I believe it is the critical time for us to be visible, especially because of our mandate of safeguarding policyholders and deposit-taking institutions. And therefore, we believe that the strategic plan will allow us to navigate through that ever-evolving and changing financial landscape. And therefore, a new mission, vision, and core values will definitely give us the necessary tools for us to navigate those times that I will call stressful moments for the financial sector.
Chair of the Board of Directors of the FSRA, Philip Dalsu, noted that the new strategic plan is in keeping with good governance principles to ensure that the FSRA carries out its core responsibilities efficiently and effectively. He said this is in conformance with the Public Finance Management Act, which mandates that all statutory bodies prepare a strategic plan in collaboration with the Department of Finance.
The strategic plan is really a document that charts the way forward for the organization. It essentially provides a direction of where the organization wants to head in the future. And this is a very important document that all organizations should have, and in particular the Financial Services Regulatory Authority.
Staff of the FSRA were fully immersed in the creation and unveiling of a signature wall, publicly portraying the logo, vision, mission, and core values embedded in the strategic plan. The core values of integrity, transparency, professionalism, and accountability were stressed by Dr. Harvey Miller, who facilitated a half-day workshop with staff on the core principles of the strategic plan.
A part of my philosophy is that your strategic plan should be a stakeholder-driven strategic plan. And by that I mean that you need to engage all the people who have a vested interest in you succeeding. And then we also wanted to get a sense from all those key stakeholders, what was their vision of success, or what is their vision of success for the FSRA? Because ultimately you're successful if you realize the vision of success of your key stakeholders.
Dr. Miller emphasized that the strategic plan is a living document that requires regular reviews, adjustments, and active engagement with stakeholders. It should be an evolving guide that will influence the actions and decisions of the FSRA for years to come. For the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, Glenn Simon reporting.
The Taiwan Technical Mission conducted 8 advanced chemical analysis training sessions at the National Agriculture Diagnostic Facility in September 2023, aiming to enhance skills in HPLC, analytical methods, and AAS principles for 6 participants. As a result, the Minister for Agriculture, the Honorable Alfred Prosper, received cost results, recommendations, and support to improve facility operations. Anicia Antoine tells us more.
In response to a request from the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Food Security, and Rural Development, the Taiwan Technical Mission dedicated its expertise to conducting 8 advanced chemical analysis training sessions at the National Agriculture Diagnostic Facility throughout the month of September 2023. These sessions aim to hone the skills of 6 participants with an intensive course covering HPLC principles, analytical methods, practical operations, and AAS principles. During a recent briefing, the Agriculture Minister received the course results from the Taiwan Technical Mission, along with an analysis and recommendations for enhancing the National Agriculture Diagnostic Facility's operations. Ambassador of the Republic of China Taiwan to St. Lucia, His Excellency Peter Chai Chen, highlighted the importance of these initiatives in advancing agricultural practices, underscoring the strong bilateral bond and the enduring commitment to fostering technical excellence in agriculture, ultimately benefiting the people of St. Lucia.
Mr. Law, he conducted a pesticide residue workshop in Ministry of Agriculture. And we are so glad that we will be able to respond to Ministry of Agriculture's request for doing this workshop, trying to use the existing equipment to detect pesticide residue. And I think that that workshop is really in time and also very needed for promoting agriculture and promoting food security and food safety.
Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Food Security and Rural Development, Honorable Alfred Prosper, expressing his gratitude to the Taiwan Technical Mission for their continued support in building capacity within the agriculture sector, highlighted the potential advantages of the advanced chemical analysis training, as well as the assessment done on the National Agriculture Diagnostic Facility.
Food safety standards must be priority number one. So I believe the facility has the potential to be able to do that. But I believe in terms of the agro-processing subsector, our agro-processors are challenged in terms of a number of areas like food safety standards, nutrition, labeling, and so on. And if we have to take this agro-processing subsector to the next level, we must ensure that the NADAF continue to provide the services that it is intended to do. And I'm happy that they have been able to identify some of the challenges in terms of human resource, the high cost of the equipment needed to do that, and to also indicate their interest in assisting and working with St. Lucia to improve and make things better.
With a newfound understanding gained from the analysis, Minister Prosper says the Agriculture Ministry is prepared to support agricultural productivity and food security, guaranteeing a prosperous future for St. Lucia's agriculture sector. From the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
Millennium Heights Medical Complex initiated town hall meetings aimed at engaging the public, offering insight into its operations. The board seeks to enhance services by involving the community's opinions and recommendations. Led by CEO Dr. Dexter James, the first session at Godgley HR Center addressed services and patients' load. Sant Justin tells us more.
The management of the Millennium Heights Medical Complex began the first in a series of town hall meetings organized as informative sessions for the public. The board responsible for the management of the facility engaged the curious contributors as they fielded questions about the facility's operations. The board is planning to use these engagements as a learning curve to help improve the services offered at the facilities. The first session was held at the Godgley Human Resource Center, where various matters were addressed. Chairperson Joanna Reynolds Atherton says the meetings represent the facility's attempts to demonstrate leadership and openness, as well as getting recommendations and opinions on its operations.
In short, we believe that your voice counts. The intention is to bring power to the people, to find ways to allow the public to be part of the process of delivering improved services. We are hoping that to engage the public, to provide us with answers to some of the questions, because we do not know all the answers.
Chief Executive Officer of the MHMC, Dr. Dexter James, started off by echoing the chairperson's sentiments in relation to public involvement in the improvement of the medical facility. Using a PowerPoint presentation, Dr. James provided a description and explanation of the various services provided by the facility.
Today, your facility admits over 6,000 patients. We provide at least 15,000 outpatient visit services. A&E or accident emergency department sees about 18,000 patients a year. We do about 1,900 surgeries per year. And we have about 94, just under 100 patients today on hemodialysis services. Our dialysis services run from about 7 in the morning right back until 2, 3 in the a.m. Sorry, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. So it's a fairly busy facility. We make sure that all patients receive the 3 and 4 hours of treatment. so that care is not compromised at all.
The MHMC team fielded questions from its audience in attendance and online. The Millennium Heights Medical Complex will be hosting a similar event on Tuesday, 24th October at the Castries City Hall. From the Communication Unit of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, I'm Sant Justin.
The government's first-generation scholarship program is continuing its successful mission in aiding with the development and support of a first-time university graduate from within every St. Lucian household. Presently, a second cohort of students are set to benefit. 50 prospective students are set to pursue degrees at Monroe College, a collaboration between the institution and the Government of Saint Lucia. The first-generation scholarship is aimed at opening access to higher education to marginalized St. Lucians. Chris Satney reports.
When the hashtag Educate St. Lucia slogan and campaign were launched in March of 2018, the Ministry of Education envisaged that through the operation it would be able to create new initiatives that can correct social ills and to harmonize efforts on the island to impact the education sector like never before. Speaking at a recently held briefing ceremony for the second cohort of the First Generation Scholarship Program, Permanent Secretary in the Department of Education, Innovation and Vocational Training, Michelle Charles, said it was this important action taken by the department which has created and enabled an environment that promotes educational opportunities, awareness and access locally, regionally and internationally to St. Lucians to further their education.
This all-encompassing yet unpretentious philosophy captures the essence of our tasks. If you are to reflect on this for a minute, you will realize how daunting this can seem, yet this is what we set out to do every day at the Department of Education. Our day-to-day work focuses on early childhood education, special needs education, primary and secondary and tertiary education. Add to this lifelong learning, continuous education, skills training, upskilling, retooling. And if you thought this was enough, consider the fact that we need to incorporate elements of equity, equality, inclusivity, access, and gender into all of our undertakings.
Education Minister Honorable Sean Edward, meanwhile, stressed the importance of education to deal with many of the island's issues and argues that despite the government's many other allocations nationally, it is essential to invest heavily in the education of its people.
It is okay to pave the roads. It is okay to modernize school infrastructure. It is okay to have a brand new hospital. It is okay for us to put a lot of money into infrastructure development. But it is equally important, if not more important, to ensure that when the national budget is rolled out and finalized, that there is a significant amount of that resource being allocated to human resource development.
The fresh cohort of the One University Graduate Per Household initiative adds 50 new scholarships to the program. The 50 recipients will each receive full tuition for a bachelor's degree in varying areas, with costs met jointly by the Government of Saint Lucia and Monroe College. P.S. Charles says there is certainly more to come in the education agenda of government.
At the Department of Education, we can boast of you as our success stories. We see you as a fulfillment of our duties and responsibilities to our nation. Remember our simple yet profound mandate, educate St. Lucia. People generally say that things are accomplished one step at a time, or one person at a time. But I am excited that we are achieving this goal that we have set ourselves, 50 first-gen scholars at a time.
The hashtag Educate St. Lucia initiative has 8 pillars, including the First Generation Scholarship Program, the American College Testing ACT Initiative, Knapsack Drive, Lifelong Learning, Vocational Qualification, Volunteerism and Apprenticeship, Career Readiness, and Innovation. From the Communications Unit of the Department of Education, Innovation and Vocational Training, I am Chris Satney, reporting.
When we come back, St. Lucia prepares for the conclusion of the Atlantic Rally for Cruisers.
One of the 8 universally accepted rights of the consumer is the right to safety. This means that consumers must have the right to be protected against products, production processes, and services which are hazardous to life or health. Such products and services must meet established national standards. These standards give the consumers the assurance that the product is safe for use or consumption.
Health officials, stakeholders, and a COVID-19 steering committee convened at Coco Palm Hotel for a 5-day COVID-19 After Action Review, AAR, to dissect pandemic lessons. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belma-George highlighted strengths in St. Lucia's health system post-COVID. St. Lucia's proactive stance in public health leadership shines through this collaborative AAR, seeking to fortify future preparedness. Deputy Permanent Secretary Tessa English stressed the need to learn, adapt, and catalog best practices for the ongoing battle against health emergencies, emphasizing the criticality of universal health coverage. Sant Justin reports.
The COVID-19 Steering Committee, along with other stakeholders and PAHO officials, gathered at the Coco Palm Hotel as they engaged in a 5-day COVID-19 After Action Review to analyze the lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, with the view to analyze the areas that require strengthening in preparation for future pandemics. The After Action Review, or AAR, is a component of the International Health Regulations Monitoring and Evaluation Framework to increase accountability and transparency among countries and with the World Health Organization Secretariat. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belma-George said St. Lucia was the first country in the region to request an after-action review following COVID-19.
In my assessments of what we've gone through with COVID, I've looked at the positives and seen where our health system has grown because of COVID. The sad part were the hospitalizations and the deaths, but it has served to strengthen the health system as a whole, and I think it's important that we ensure that we sustain whatever measures are put in place moving forward.
Dr. Oscar Lapuble with PAHO says the AAR is not just a process, but a testament to a nation's commitment to continuous improvement and preparedness for the future. He added that through St. Lucia's partnership with PAHO for the After Action Review, the island is continuing to showcase its leadership in public health. The collaboration, he added, will not only benefit St. Lucia, but also serve as a beacon for other nations.
St. Lucia's commitment to safeguarding the health and well-being of its people has been evident throughout this crisis. From the rapid mobilization of resources to the diligent efforts of healthcare professionals on the front lines, the nation's response has been both commendable and inspirational. The journey through this pandemic has been one of the learning, adaptation, and resilience. And it's precisely this spirit of reflection and growth that brings us here today. In our collective fight against health emergencies, it's imperative that we pause, reflect, and learn. This after-action review is an opportunity to consolidate the wisdom gained from life experience, identify and maintain the gains, and address areas that need reinforcement.
Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, Ms. Tessa English, stated that the frankness and openness of participants were welcomed during the discussions as the ministry looks to cataloging best practices and lessons learned from the pandemic.
The challenges, presented by COVID-19 were unparalleled. And while the ministry has always been, able and ready to respond to public health emergencies, we had to dig deep and revise our approaches to contend with the new and emerging threat. As we chart the way forward to the implementation of universal health coverage, the need to get everything right in healthcare has, never been more pressing to us at the ministry.
An after-action review is a qualitative, structured review of actions taken in response to an actual public health event as a means of identifying and documenting best practices, gaps, and lessons. From the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, I'm Sant Justin.
As we celebrate Business Month this November, an agreement has been signed to help women business owners. This agreement aims to give more women more chances at success. Virgil Leonti tells us more.
The agreement was signed by the Caribbean Development Fund, CDF, and the Taiwan International Cooperation and Development Fund on November 2nd. It marked the start of activities for Business Month in November. The agreement will contribute towards the credit rating abatement facility CRAFT, which was set up to assist women entrepreneurs transition to the use of cleaner forms of energy. Minister of Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives and Consumer Affairs, Honorable Emma Hippolyte, lauded the agreement, citing the value of small businesses to the national economy.
The CDF's credit risk abatement facility also seeks to encourage adherence to sustainable business practices by providing incentivizing additional lending for renewable energy and energy-efficient appliances. As a Minister for Commerce, I am acutely aware of the pivotal role that SMEs play in driving economic growth. As the backbone of the local economy, SMEs spur innovation and effectuate public policy. Their impact cannot be overestimated. SMEs account for the majority of businesses worldwide and are important contributors to job creation and global economic development.
Another feature of Business Month was the Taiwan and Saint Lucia Partnership Trade Exhibition. The 16th annual trade show featured 69 local and 9 Taiwanese-owned businesses. Enterprises were represented from a range of sectors, including agro-processing, health and wellness, beauty, and film animation. This year, digital and technologically driven businesses featured prominently, a reflection of a deliberate effort by the Ministry of Commerce to have small businesses digitalize their operations. Director of Consumer Affairs, Mr. Esley Lafay, explains.
Lucia doesn't exist in a bubble, and trade doesn't exist in a bubble. I think the world economy has evolved so much over the years, and most of that is driven by technology. And we are, for a large part, have been playing catch-up, whereas our Taiwanese neighbors are really at the cusp of technology and innovation in terms of the world economy. And so we have a lot to learn from them. And St. Lucia must make that shift. So we must be willing scholars in terms of learning from them. And I note that even right here at the trade show, we have a number of innovators, a number of entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs, who are leading that fight in terms of showing us that we must include technology in business.
The newly established Youth Economy Agency exhibited goods and services mainly in the area of information and communication technology. Mr. Terry Finister is the Communications Officer at the Youth Economy Agency.
We have a significant number of those who are working in the technology space, in the ICT space. We have Real 3D Printing, who's here. We have Ale, of course, providing a transportation service. Optronics, we're working with them as well. A number of really fantastic services. Soaring Leads, Urias Victor, coming out of Soufre, took part in our first business planning training. He was actually the keynote speaker at the certificate ceremony. So there are a number of young people who are looking in that direction. There are 4 or 5 others that I can think of off the top of my head who are really making their mark. And obviously, technology is special because it really is an avenue for you to open yourself out to the world. And that's where we want to see more of our young people taking themselves, really becoming not just massive national suppliers or having a massive national footprint, but being able to reach out into the region, being able to reach out into the world.
Business Month was held under the theme Sustaining Trade in the Digital Age. From the Government Information Service, I am Virgil Leonti reporting.
St. Lucia readies for the pinnacle of the 34th Atlantic Rally for Cruisers, ARC, as the nation hosted a media launch on November 16, 2023. Peter Cozier from the World Cruising Club unveiled key stats highlighting the event's evolution with 160 boats and diverse divisions. SLTA Chairman Thaddeus Antoine emphasized the significant economic and tourism benefits the ARC brings to St. Lucia. In anticipation of hosting the monumental conclusion of the Atlantic Rally for Cruisers, ARC, St. Lucia conducted a media launch on November 16, 2023. This year marks 34 years of the ARC and St. Lucia's 32nd consecutive participation. During the launch, events manager of the Caribbean's World Cruising Club, Peter Cozier, unveiled the compelling statistics for this year's anticipated cruise. Cozier's insights shed light on the evolving scale and significance of this year's event, promising an exhilarating spectacle for participants and spectators alike.
Just under 160 boats coming across. There are 4 divisions. We've got cruising division, the racing division, the multi-hull division, and the open division. And the stats with 160 boats is because we have 44 catamarans, which is part of the multi-hull, and a trimaran. And these boats are much bigger than the average multi-hull, wider, so they take up more room than a single boat. So hence we have less numbers of boats coming, but they take up the space of 2, hence only 160. But everyone is very excited about going. That's the wonderful thing about getting ready in Las Palmas. And on Sunday when they start, the weather is going to be light winds. It's not a perfect day for sailing, but it will be great for taking our pictures when they start off with the racing division. We'll be expecting the racing division, the first boats, to be coming in 10 days, 11 days after the start.
Chairman of the St. Lucia Tourism Authority, SLTA, Thaddeus Antoine, shed light on the myriad of advantages that the Atlantic Rally for Cruisers brings to the island nation.
When you heard about Peter speak about the participation, yes, we have some 160 boats this year, but we have some 800 crew on board taking part in the event. And then you look at the family members who are joining the event. So we're always excited about the ARC because it lends so much for St. Lucia, so much in terms of economic growth, impact for the island. As a tourism authority, we're here to promote St. Lucia and generate people coming to St. Lucia, generate a yield for visitors on the whole. And how we do so is we invite international media, local media and regional media to be part of the festivities, so we host them. We create events around the ARC in the IGY Marina setting. You have issues of farmers, the creatives, all participating and taking part in what we do for the ARC.
The send-off is expected to take place on Sunday, November 19th. There will be a total of 39 nationalities participating in the ARC this year, according to Cozier. From the Government Information Service, I am Nivalo Geese. And that concludes this month's edition of St. Lucia Magazine. A heartfelt thank you to all who played a vital role in the making of this program, including the dedicated GIS team and the communication units across the various ministries. To you, our viewers, we appreciate your presence and engagement. Be sure to join us again next month for the next informative episode of St. Lucia Magazine on NTN Channel 122 and all the Government of Saint Lucia's social media platforms. I am Nivalo Geest, and until next time, stay tuned and stay informed.
It's time for St. Lucia Magazine, your monthly wrap-up.